starting with the Oklahoma City Thunder playing in their second straight double overtime game of the season. Two double overtimes, two victories. A lot of sweat, a lot of blood, and a lot to think about as the Oklahoma City Thunder, proving once again why they're one of the deepest teams in basketball. This is a team that came into the game, no Casey Wallace, no Alex Caruso. They also were missing, if I'm not mistaken, yeah, they were missing Isaiah Joe as well. Obviously, already missing Jalen Williams. He's going to be out for the first couple of weeks of the season. So a lot of their best perimeter defenders were not available for this game. Very notable given the fact that the Indiana Pacers rely very heavily on the fact that they are a pace and space team, and more particularly how they operate in transition. Even without Tyrese Halliburton, and we'll get into that a little bit later, but even without Tyrese Halliburton, this team has athletes, and without Tyrese Halliburton, these have guys. These guys have um, the ability to push the ball down the floor at a high rate. Like it seems like Rick Carlisle's system is just simply predicated off of getting the ball off the inbound and almost creating transition instantaneously by pushing the ball up the court as fast as humanly possible and getting right into the offense early into the shot clock and trying to generate as many potential looks as early in the shot clock as they can. And that's something that was able to translate in a real way because defensively, the Oklahoma City Thunder didn't have as many people to just throw around at a Benedict Mathurin, at a Aaron Nesmith in this game, and it really showed. I'm gonna read a couple quotes from the after the game about from Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and a couple about AJ Mitchell, somebody who was really special in this game, has been a huge part of why the Oklahoma City Thunder are 2-0 right now. Let's start off with what Shai said first, talking about just why he was still on the floor playing 45 minutes in this game after playing 47 in the first, saying two things: being in the moment and understanding that we're down five, is 3 minutes left, there's a lot of time left. Then also understanding the beginning of the season is just as important as the end of the season. The difference in home court advantage in the playoffs could be one game and one win. We know firsthand home court in the playoffs is very helpful, especially when you go 7 games. So we don't ever want to take an opportunity for granted. So I think that's really important for a young team because remember, the Oklahoma City Thunder are the second youngest team in NBA history to win a championship, right? And that alone is already a certain level of pressure that most youthful stars are not aware of the ramifications later, right? Like when you win a championship that early, you just think you can get back again, and you just view yourself as this team that only has so much more in front of them and all these other things. And you hear quotes from Shai Gilgeous-Alexander like this, and you realize he understands the magnitude of the moment, which is the thing that everybody knows now and kind of understood coming out of that finals run, which is the Oklahoma City Thunder are the hunted now. See, once upon a time, the Oklahoma City Thunder were the scrappy team that lost to the Houston Rockets, James Harden, Russell Westbrook in the bubble, looked like this scrappy team with Danilo Gallinari, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, Chris Paul, and Dennis Schroeder were the two best guards on the perimeter at the time. And they were this building team. Momentum, momentum, momentum. But they were viewed as like underdogs the entire time. And last season, a lot of people expected them to have a really strong regular season run after they made the additions of Isaiah Hartenstein and Alex Caruso. And they were the best team in the Western Conference and eventually the NBA champions, right? It's huge for a star who's been through both versions of that organization. The one that was the underdog that had to kind of figure out how to get to the moment, and then be the one that now is coming out of that moment and saying more work to do. Where I know that this Oklahoma City Thunder team is going to be fine simply because if they follow as Shai Gilgeous-Alexander goes, which they will and they do, they're going to be in good shape because they don't see themselves any further ahead than they actually are, which is that regardless of the dynasty talks and regardless of the fact that there's conversations about whether or not the Thunder can win in back-to-back years after the last 6 seasons we've seen the champion change, knowing that he views this as just a whole new season, start from zero, right? We're 1-0, now we're 2-0. That's big for the Oklahoma City Thunder. I think they're in an interesting space though because they're having to figure out what they're made of from a depth perspective really early on with some of these injuries. And again, it shows how deep of a team they are that they're able to miss guys like Jalen Williams, Cason Wallace, Isaiah Joe, Alex Caruso, and still have dudes like Aaron Wiggins who had 23-9 in this game, or having AJ Mitchell come off the bench and drop 26 in this game and get to the free throw line 8 times. He was huge in the first game against the Houston Rockets as well, especially in that first half. Just knowing that they still have guys who can like step in and really like fit, not just be available, not just kind of take up space, but really fill the role is huge. Here's what Coach Mark Daigneault said after the game about AJ Mitchell. He said everybody has a lot of trust in him and his talent, but I think the steadiness in these two environments in both games, he didn't really blink. So we knew the talent and impact, but sometimes it takes guys a little bit. They seem a little wide-eyed. That was not the case for him. And Shea spoke on the depth a little bit himself, saying different guys stepping up. Different guys stepping up. A lot of guys were stepping up tonight. Like to play that much last game. Obviously, we're a little banged up. This team never makes excuses. It's always ready for their moment. Again, I think the most important thing for the Oklahoma City Thunder as a team looking to repeat, as a team that young looking to make another championship run, is understanding that you're not going to get dealt the same hand that you were last year. You're already starting the season at a disadvantage that you didn't experience very much last season because Jalen Williams had a clean bill of health throughout the entirety of last year. You didn't deal with injury issues from Cason Wallace and Alex Caruso very much, if not at all, last season. You actually didn't even have to rely on AJ Mitchell much last season, and he was somebody that was injured toward. Excuse me, he was somebody that was injured for a great deal of time, which actually took him out of the rotation for a little bit. But you didn't have to rely on him as part of your depth. He was just a very good piece, and in the early portion of the season before he got hurt, he looked like the diamond in the rough that he looks like right now. It just was on a lesser scale. He looked like a very productive floor spacer and connector, but like through the first 2 games, he looks like a guy who can like really shot create and self-generate for himself in a way that like gives Shai Gilgeous-Alexander somebody else to rely on the perimeter in certain situations and keeps the offense steady without Shai Gilgeous-Alexander on the floor. That's one of the biggest things that you kind of fear without Jalen Williams is like who's going to initiate offense when you take Shai out? Because Chet, although he's a solid shot creator, he still doesn't have like the ball handling chops at that center spot to be somebody that you're going to try to run offense through from the top of the key and have him initiate. And then outside of that, when you look at the rest of their rotation, like yeah, Aaron Wiggins is solid, but he's starting right now. Ousmane Dieng, I don't think they trust him to initiate offense right now. And without guys like Isaiah Joe and Cason Wallace available in this game, like AJ Mitchell is the next closest dude to somebody that you feel like you can hand the ball to and ask him to run point, not just like for the perspective of getting other guys involved, but actually trying to make the offense work in OKC's favor. It's a long-winded way of saying that I think the Oklahoma City Thunder are in a situation now where anybody who thinks they're in trouble doesn't understand how deep of a team this is. But I do think at the same time, they are a team that is going to get everybody's best shot. It's showing through the first 2 games that they are going to be battle tested early and often. And you pair that with their injury situations across the roster, and it's a clear indication that this year is not going to be anything like last season. And I'm sure they already knew that, and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander carries himself as if he already understands that, and the team follows him. But these first two games, to put a bow on this, these first two games for the Oklahoma City Thunder are a representation of just how hard it is to go back to back as a champion, regardless of how talented you are. And it's because when you become the hunted, you are getting everybody's best shot every single night. It was one of those things that made the Miami Heat run so intriguing once upon a time when I remember they came off of the championship, or I think it was the year they went to go win the championship, and they started the season off like 26-1 or something crazy like that, right? And it was that insane run where I think it was them coming off the championship. You guys can correct me in the comment section if I'm wrong, but I'm just gonna go with it either way. That they go on this insane run of just being undefeated, but they're getting everybody's best shot on a nightly basis. And that's what made it so impressive, because it's like these are close games. These are down to the wire, gotta get it done, play through your star player and see them operate in crunch time kind of games. And they were still able to pull out the win. And that's what makes them feel even more unbeatable, because Oklahoma City, they had an insane point margin. Yeah, they had a, excuse me, Oklahoma City had an insane point margin last season where they were blowing folks out. Like, they were in position. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander was not playing double overtime games last year. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander was like sitting for significant periods of time through like the mid third quarter to like the mid fourth quarter sometimes, or being pulled in the early fourth quarter to get to sit because they were whooping on folks last season. Again, they're hurt right now. And when they get healthy, that'll help them out a ton. And thankfully for them, in the meantime, they have real depth still, with the fact that they have, the other Jalen Williams at center. They have, Isaiah Hartenstein and Chet Holmgren to hold down that front court rotation. And then as far as the guards, you still have Lou Dort, AJ Mitchell, Aaron Wiggins. I'm sure that, the whole thing with Case and Wallace won't last too long. We know that the Alex Caruso thing shouldn't be too long because his is just concussion protocol. So like they're gonna get back healthy and hopefully very soon. But in the meantime, this is a team that is a little banged up, getting everybody's best shot, but they've been able to persevere through it. And that goes to show you again, it's hard to win a championship, but this team, they're built for it. If out of any of the teams that we've seen in recent memory win the NBA championship, this is the team that looks the best built to actually go back to back. And it's because, unlike the Denver Nuggets, unlike the Boston Celtics, this team is seeing the least roster turnover from the championship year to the very following season of any of the more recent champions, in terms of bringing back the talent that got them to where they were. And also, I think this Oklahoma City Thunder team, they're going to end up getting healthy at the right time, and that's going to help them in being able to get right back into the mix again of being not just like a championship contender, but like the lead team in the Western Conference. The fact that they were able to pull this game out, again, just shows they've got a lot ahead of them. But I'm glad to hear and glad to see that they're just taking it one game at a time, because at the end of the day, being hunted is so much different. It's so much different from being the hunter, because now you're getting everybody's best shot. You're not going to be blowing folks out on a night to night basis, because everybody's going to be trying to be the first team to hang the L up on the new champions. But so far, so good for the Thunder, man. And shout out to Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. 55, crazy work. Crazy work.